Hello! So today I wanted to talk to you about something that's been helpful for a lot of my clients, particularly when they're transitioning into new leadership positions or when they're hoping to transition into new leadership positions. Um, One of the problems that we can get into when we're making those kind of moves is that we are still using a set of ideas and behaviours that have served us really well in an early career stage, but that are no longer appropriate or helpful in a mid-career stage. It's a little bit like I've talked before about feedback and the fact that all feedback should come with an expiry date. So often people are hanging on to bits of feedback that they've received in the past and which have long since been dealt with. And now they're overcorrecting or have a warped sense of their own abilities and competencies when actually that's something they've moved past a long time ago. It's a little bit similar when we're moving from an early career stage to a mid-career stage. There are a number of things that serve us really well when we're setting out that might not be appropriate later on. So that can include working all the hours we possibly can. And you might think that's a crazy thing for me to endorse, but there are moments in our careers when perhaps we have relatively few other responsibilities. We're actually maximizing our experience, learning from as many situations as we possibly can, gathering all the information, exploring, trialing, experimenting is entirely appropriate. Throwing ourselves into something can be entirely valid at an early career stage. The second thing that can be appropriate is saying yes to a lot of extra responsibilities. And again, we're trialing, we're exploring, we're looking to learn. And the benefits of taking on those additional responsibilities may be worth more to us than the costs of taking on those additional responsibilities. The third thing that can be really appropriate at that point is saying yes and following a lead. So, for example, we might be working with some senior colleagues who are seriously impressive and from whom we can learn a lot. And we might follow their example. We might look to see what behaviours they use and perhaps emulate or copy, try it on for size. Perhaps also we're looking to see what they judge to be good and modelling our own opinions on that. Again, that can be entirely appropriate for someone who's got relatively little experience and is looking to learn. The problem comes when we carry those three behaviours into a mid-career stage. Because what the mid-career stage asks of us is something quite different. In the mid-career stage is a point in our lives where we start to become much choosier. We've learned something about our skills, our talents, our interests, and perhaps it's time to specialise, to go deep in a particular area, to follow a hunch. So we start being a little bit choosier. Another reason why we start to be a little bit choosier is we are probably trying to balance our time in a slightly different way. Now, whilst it might be appropriate to throw ourselves in, and quantity over quantity may have been the metric, in an early career stage, that no longer applies now. First of all, we are much more effective and we have an awful lot more to offer. But secondly, we probably have a greater set of responsibilities, and those responsibilities could be family, it could be aging parents, it could be pets, it could be children, it could be that we need to start being choosier because we have invested in certain assets, because we've acquired property. We are encumbered in all sorts of ways that makes our lives richer, but means that we need to balance and choose our priorities. The third reason our behaviour needs to change is because now we are called upon to exercise our judgment in a much more profound way than we did in our early career stage. So when we talk about exercising our judgment, we really have something to offer. And it's less a case of following someone else's lead, but starting to offer that ourselves. Now, the thing is, when we're doing that, we're no longer trying to please somebody. We're not trying to, we can get a little bit confused when we still want the recognition, the praise. We want someone to say, hey, you did a good job. In effect, we're trying to please some sort of archetypal adult. But in fact, what's required now is for us to call upon our very adult judgment and wisdom that we have acquired ourselves. We can hesitate to do that. It can feel awkward to adjust, to reframe these relationships. But to not do so is to deprive others of the knowledge and experience that we have to offer. We can also get into trouble because it can feel very frustrating to know what people expect of us now. And that's partly because we're entering into new territory, and new territory always brings up uncertainty. And we can find ourselves wondering, what are people asking of me? And therein lies the secret, because they can't give us the answer. In fact, they are turning to us to give that answer. We have it within ourselves. And at this point, as we transition into our mid-career, it's less that we need to follow the directions that someone else is giving us, so much as we learn to step into the expertise and the competencies we can offer generously to other people. And that is one way in which we can make that transition from the early career stage to the mid-career stage. And I think it's probably important at this point to say is that we can give ourselves a really hard time that why haven't we got this sooner? You know, why couldn't we resolve this? Why are we still behaving like this? And I think the thing is that we never move on from a set of behaviours that have worked for us in the past until they cease to work for us. So there will always be this awkward transition, this slight lag between the two phases, and that's okay. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know. My email is tf@tamsinfoster.co.uk. That's Tamsin with a Z. I hope it was interesting. I hope it was useful. I'd love to hear your thoughts.